Cygnus Prime is an assassination, and the target is a Primarch. And if that proves too ambitious, the consolation prize is a Legion of Souls. Horus built this plan from a secret Sanguinius confessed to him at Melchior. And that's what we're going to cover today on Ultramorons. Me, your host as usual, Lane, joined with...
And me, Connor.
Yeah, back again for another episode. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about Sanguinius and the Blood Angels. We have not covered them at all yet, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Like, even they weren't at Ispan 5, they weren't... Yeah, so yeah, this is new territory. So, Blood Angels fans, here you go. Hopefully I do them justice. So, where we left off last time, we closed at the Shadow Crusade. The Ruinstorm are cut off Ultramar, and Guilliman is cut off from Terra. Basically that, things are getting real bad on one side of the universe. So, we are going to talk about Blood Angels, though, not Ultramarines. But people really like World Eaters and Mechanicus, so I'll keep that in mind. The red guys, if they're red, they're going to do well, which is good because Blood Angels are red. Let me show you a picture of what Blood Angels usually look like. This is the old art of Blood Angels. They kind of got that going on, the red. They used to be red and black, but now they're red and white or red and gold. But definitely have to have the red, right?
Okay.
So that classic art there.
Nice.
So you would consider like the Ultramarines the biggest, most squared away, most organized, the poster boys. The Blood Angels are the beautiful ones. They're all very pretty, good looking. I mean, look at Sanguinius here, They come from a planet called Baal, Baal, and is a death world, which means that it is inhospitable to live on. KaBandha is considered a death world as well before it was colonized because of all the beasts on there that just kill you constantly.
Okay.
So death world really just means there's all different, what you call it, like classifications of worlds. There's like paradise worlds, death worlds, forge worlds. That's Mechanicus usually. They turn a giant planet into a giant factory. I think like Transformers planet, right? There's different classifications. And a death world is one where it's just you cannot live on this planet unless you have some type of protections or you're a good fighter or something like that. So Baal is one of those planets. It's basically a giant desert, and the air is toxic.
Okay.
There are people that live there, but they're usually very capable people. Think like the people in KaBandha, right? These knightly orders that fight these beasts in the woods. Baal is not a knightly order, though. They're mostly just like kind of tribes. So they are taken from these tribes and turned into Space Marines, who make some of the best Space Marines because they're used to already growing up in a very toxic, dangerous environment. And since they have that genes of the Space Marine as well, they also look very pretty, which is interesting considering they come from a death world.
Right.
Their flagship is called the Red Tear and is built in the shape of a teardrop with wings, red blood drop type thing. Their greatest guys are called the Sanguinary Guard. They fight in gold plate, kind of like custodians, but it's not the same. They fight in gold plate too, but they're also taller and they wear the big helmet. And they're also the most beloved out of any legion. Everybody loves Blood Angels. Everybody gets along with them. They usually never have a problem with them, Like if you ask any Space Marine who is the best Primarch, and you get a lot of different opinions. Oh, Sanguinius, Horus, Khan, Dorn, they're all awesome. But if you ask any Primarch who's the best Primarch, they're all going to say Sanguinius. Because he's just the golden child, literally, right? Because, I mean, look at this picture, right? Look at him. You saw that guy walking towards you, like, oh, that is the most beautiful man I've ever seen. I mean, Fulgrim obviously is good looking too, but Fulgrim is a little full of himself. Sanguinius is not full of himself.
Okay.
And that's kind of the big difference too, is that Sanguinius is a very... If Guilliman died, Sanguinius would be the poster boy because he embodies everything that is good with humanity. Think of it almost like a savior type figure, right? I mean, they're called blood angels. They're angels.
Right.
So, and he has wings. He actually has like literal wings that come out of his body, which is interesting because that's a mutation. But don't worry about that.
Okay, so they're like natural wings?
Yes, he was born with them. He's born with actual wings. Yes. So this picture here actually is them at Ullanor. We'll get to that in a second. But you see, he's standing there with his wings.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He has natural born wings, and he landed on Baal as a baby from the pods during the Great Crusade. He lands on Baal. The tribes found him, and they worshipped him because he was like an angel. The angel fell from the sky with his wings and all these different things, and he united the people of the world and turned them into blood angels. He is also, a great fighter. Like, he is a great swordsman. He can fly around, so he can like hit you with these aerial attacks. He has all these different types of, like, he's just so fast. When he's not fighting, he's like one of the nicest guys ever. I'm trying to think of like a person like that in real life. Kind of like, it's so played out, but like Keanu Reeves, right? You watch John Wick, he's a super killer. And then you see him in regular life, he's like, hey, how you doing? And you're like, oh, this is a normal guy, It's like that.
Okay.
But he does have one flaw that no one else really has. I mean, some of them have it in similar ways, but not like his. He can see the future, but not clearly. but it's kind of like we talked about Uldred Ulthwé, the Eldar Farseer. And when he's talking to Fulgrim, he saw in the future that Horus betrays him. It's similar to that, where it's like I can see things in the future, but I don't know how they happen or what caused them to happen, or but I can see these different fragments of different timelines. Kind of like Erebus's 10,000 roads or paths. It's similar, but Erebus's is actually like he actually see the paths, whereas Sanguinius just like sees events as they can happen.
Right. He sees a point in the past, not the whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know what will lead to that, but he can see this could happen.
Right.
So it's kind of a curse in a way, because he's like, oh, he can see like, oh, I see Gilliman dying. And he's like, I don't know how to stop it. Like, I don't even know what causes that, but he can still see it. So it kind of sucks. And so he carries 3 officers with him. One of them is called Raldoron. And here's a picture of Raldoron. Like I said, good looking guy. Amit. Do I have a picture of Amit? There is Nasir Amit. And last episode, when we talked about Nasir Amit, he was the one who was in the World Eaters fighting pits alongside Cargos. Great fighter. So yes, that was him down there, and he was called the Flesh Terror. And I did say he is not the same Flesh Terrors. Spoiler alert, he is one of the Flesh Terrors that come around later on. I think you see on his knee there, that little symbol with the buzzsaw, the teardrop in it, that is the Flesh Terror symbol later.
Okay.
Yes, it is the same guy. Another guy named Meros. And I have a picture, I guess this picture of Meros, where he's fighting some demons. And it's that really chunky old art. Yeah, so they're all, good-looking guys and great fighters. But Meros is an apothecary, so he's not really known for fighting. He's known for helping. He is, carries his tools around with a little claw that takes out Gene Seed, right? We covered all that last episode.
Right.
So we're going to go to the Great Crusade, pre-heresy times. And there is a secret that all Blood Angels carry. It is not the future seeing that Sanguinius has, but it is something that they have in their blood. And over time, the Blood Angels get to a point where they get literally bloodthirsty. Like they become these like berserkers that fight to the death. And nobody knows why it happens, but it's just a gene curse. And this picture here is kind of what it looks like. Like they literally turn into vampires.
Okay.
And they'll just start killing everybody, and there's no friend or foe. It's just, I'm just killing. And it becomes like this overwhelming urge to just kill things, and the brain turns off. Think of it like the butcher's nails, but just their brain.
Right.
But they don't know why it happens. It just eventually can happen to any Blood Angel if he fights too much. And Sanguinius has to take care of them himself every time, because they're just too dangerous. So he has to get in there and he has to kind of put them down. And he hates it, because 1, he's killing his sons, and 2, he doesn't know how to stop it, because he keeps seeing it happening. And he assumes it's because of him, because it's something about his biology given to these people, that it's not like a Baal thing, right? It's not like the people that come from this planet are vampires. It's something is happening during the process of making these people as space marines that installs this gene into them that makes them turn into crazy vampires. Think of it like an addiction in a way, right? Like, sure, they say, no, I'm good. But then they go to a bar and they're like, oh. And that bar is war,
Right.
So they just, wait a minute. Start sweating. Hold on now, wait a minute. Teeth start getting bigger. It becomes real. It's like, let me say Twilight, right? Do you ever watch Twilight? Like when he smells Bella, he's just like, oh my goodness, I got to get out of here. It's like that, right? It's just this primal urge to just start killing everything.
Right. And will they, let's say they get done with a battle, just the Blood Angels, will they kill each other?
Yes.
Okay.
They will start attacking each other. They don't even see it clearly anymore.
Okay.
Everybody is an enemy now.
Got it.
It's like Bruce in Finding Nemo when Dory breaks her nose and he smells the blood. It's that. The eyes go black and it's predator time.
Yeah.
And then Sanguinius has to get there himself and take care of it, because he just doesn't want anybody else to do it. And because he feels like it's his problem, so he should solve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. So on a planet called Melchior, something happened. This happens as well. There's a Blood Angel named Alotros. And I think, do I have a picture of Alotros? I do not, but he's just a Blood Angel. And he falls into this red thirst. And by the time he reaches him, I mean, it basically is that picture I just showed you, right? By the time he reaches him, he is in this chapel. It's called an empath chapel, and it's an alien structure that was built. It's the whole thing there. And he had killed a bunch of people, and he's sitting there just like basically scooping the blood out of a puddle and just drinking it like an animal. And he's just crazy. And there are some people still alive in the room, but they're like hiding in the corners, because they're like, if we don't move, he won't see us. Because they also get like juiced up by this. It's that the blood makes them stronger, basically.
Like a rage.
Yes.
Yeah.
The barbarian rage, right? Guinness walks in there and he talks to Alotros, right? He's telling him, he's like, look, just relax. I'm here. I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry about it. And every time he's like, maybe this time it'll work. Maybe this time I can like talk them back from the edge. Horus is here too as well. But he says something to Elotros, and he says, this is my fault. I am to blame, but I will amend this. If you will help me, will you help me, Elotros? And Elotros blinks, looks at him, and then he just charges him. And Sanguinius is just standing there while he's like, this guy's trying to claw at him and attacking him, and it's not doing anything because obviously Sanguinius is covered in this plate armor, right? And he's just standing there like letting him do it, and he's yelling him in this language that people from Baal speak. So it's like his primal, right? Becomes this berserker. And it's just, and he just stands there, and eventually he just grabs him and he says, I am sorry, my son. And then he basically stabs his neck. And then he dies and he falls into this little pool of blood. And then Eskelion arrives, and Eskelion is another blood angel, one of the Sanguinary Guard. And he's already, he knows what it is, right? So he's like, don't worry, we'll take care of it. He was killed by some aliens and he died in an explosion. There's no body left, right? Like, we know how to handle this. And he says, this should be dealt with by us, sir, quietly. And then Sanguinius kind of looks at him and says, no, my son, no blood angel will ever die in silence. So it's this real, like, this, like, Sanguinius knows one day this is going to get out of his group, you know? So eventually they leave, and Horus is outside the chapel, and he's just kind of standing there. And this is before the heresy, mind you. So Horus is War Master. This is like right after Ullanor, after he has the whole thing there. And he talks to Horus, and he says, I believe that there's a hidden flaw in the genetic matrix of the Blood Angel's gene seed, something in my own biotype. I have looked within myself and seen glimpses of it, brother, a murky core, a trait that lies buried and waits to be awakened. And Horus asks him how many times has he had to do this, or how many times has this happened? And Sanguinius says, a handful. They probably have died in battles or died before, and nobody really knew what happened. But the problem is it's becoming more common. That's just worrying him. And he's in his visions, he can see this getting worse and worse and worse for his guys, basically turning these feral animals. So it's also similar to Space Wolves. And we didn't really cover when we talked about Space Wolves, but they have a similar thing too, where when they get the gene seed, some of them turn into something called the Wolfen, and they basically turn to werewolves. They're not totally insane, but they're bad enough that they're not technically Space Marines, but they're like, they don't get put down because they're good fighters. So they're still kind of there with it. They're not like these monsters, but they are monstrous, where you're like, you can't be with us, but like, we might send you to go do stuff. You know, they're not totally insane like the Blood Angels become. So it's, this type of thing is uncommon with these legions. Sometimes, because the process of becoming a Space Marine, and I'm sure we'll cover it one day, is very taxing and very intense. I mean, most people can't even just physically do it. It's not like 1-to-1. It's like maybe 1 to 100 or 1 to 1,000. You know, like it's just such a painful, intense process. So, and Horus asks him, like, how long have you known that this is a problem? And Sanguinius says, years. He's like, I've been trying to look for a solution, but I can't find one. And then he asks him, well, why haven't you told the Emperor? Can the Emperor help you with it? And he says, I will not be responsible for the erasure of the Blood Angels from Imperial history. I will not have a third empty plinth beneath the roof of the Hegemon as my legion's only memorial. So in that case, he's referring to the 2 other Primarchs that don't exist anymore. Because sometimes they refer to them, but they never say their names, they never say what happened to them. They just know there used to be 2 other ones, and they're all gone now, and can't talk about them.
Right. You could mention it, but not.
Yeah. Mention it, but don't. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how he sees it. Is that like, whatever happened to those original 2 Primarchs was so bad that the Emperor had to wipe them from history. Obviously, the Primarchs know about them because they're their brothers, but that's all they know. They might not even know their names. They might use some psychic magic to wipe the memory from people. All they know is that there's 2 empty spots on this big table, that there used to be 20 seats, and there's still 20 seats, but 2 never get filled.
Right.
So he's worried about that. He's like, I'm going to, my guys and me are going to get erased from history. And that's his real concern. He says, he cries out for blood and there is never enough. And Horus says, well, don't worry, I'll keep your secret. Wink. He says, I won't even tell the Emperor. And Sanguinius believes him, of course. I mean, this is Horus, this is War Master, this is the best brother. This is before the heresy.
Right.
Horus, being Horus, is like, yeah, sure, totally. Totally, yeah, no, you can trust me. So, moving along, now we go to Ullanor. So actually, that was, let me check my years here. So this is 4 M31, and that scene was also the same year. So this all kind of happens around the same time. So at Ullanor, you know, Great Crusade, he fights Erlak Erg, the orc. Yes, the Emperor fights Erlak Erg, the orc war boss, kills him and Horus fight, which, mind you, that's still crazy to me think about that. There's an orc war boss so strong. It took the Horus and the Emperor to defeat it.
Right.
Like, that's insane. the two strongest guys ever. What they do, they kill him, and they basically turn the world into a giant parade ground, the entire planet. And there are 9 Primarchs who are there. You can see him in this picture here. You have Mortarion, and he is right here in the back there. Angron, obviously.
Yep.
Fulgrim, Magnus, you can see he's way taller than everybody else. I think it's Lorgar. That's Horus, obviously. That's Sanguinius. There's Dorn. That's not a Primarch. He is one of the custodians, the custodian, the general of the custodians. I forgot what his name is. Valdor, Constantine Valdor. That's his name. And he is, honestly, I mean, not to power scale, because I know power scaling is dumb, but like, he could probably beat most of these guys one-on-one. That's like, he's no joke. And Melchior is also there, just kind of hanging out. So this is a very big deal. His coronation of Horus becoming War Master, which we've covered before. But this, what's interesting about this picture and this event is that all these guys being together like this will never happen again. And also this type of ceremony, this version of the Imperium never exists again after this point. Because the heresy does not take too long to happen after this.
Right.
So, Horus gets crowned, and the Horus is very happy for him, right? Obviously, he's there holding the, I'm not sure what he's had on the little thing here. I can't really zoom in. I don't know, maybe something. Maybe that's where the little laurel was on the little pillow. Yeah, so, you know, very happy for him, that whole event. But the thing is, after this, they got assigned to a place called the Kayvas Belt. And basically to kill more orcs that were fleeing Ullanor. And just to kind of clean up the mess. They're doing it, and they're hanging out actually with Alpha Legion there too. So this is about 2 or so years after the Ullanor thing. They're working in the Kayvas Belt. And it's kind of boring work. You're just killing little groups of orcs. I mean, there's no war bosses. There's no crazy fights. It's nothing.
Right.
So, and they're with the Alpha Legion. But the Alpha Legion is being really weird, as they usually are. Now, mind you, this is before, actually, I don't know if it's before the Cabal. I don't know. It's around that time, though. It's definitely around that time.
Okay.
It might be around the same time because the Cabal speaks to them before Horus even does the whole heresy stuff, like with the vision on Davos. So it might be around the same time. It's obviously hard because they get weird with the time. And they show up as well to help, but they kind of go off grid. And they're like, okay, guys, like, we kind of needed your help, but whatever. And Alpha Legion come back, and they're like, okay, so what are you guys doing? They say, don't worry about it. And then they do it again. They come back, and they say, don't worry about it. It keeps happening. And then all they say to them is maintain the line. Just maintain the line. Let us do what we're doing. And at one point, Sanguinius detects like a moon-sized, like machine ship thing, planet, moon, I don't know. And it gets destroyed somehow. He doesn't know what destroyed it. All of a sudden, it gets destroyed, and it's gone. And he asks Alpha that. And they say, don't worry about it. And he says, well, I'm going to worry about it. So he sends some guys in to investigate. And the only thing he can find in this investigation, this wreckage, is dead orcs and some other dead aliens. And no Alpha Legion. And this kind of a fourth wall, but they never even says what happens in that, what they did there. All I know is the Alpha Legion blew it up, and they kept that secret with them, as they normally do. So during this period is where you kind of start meeting Meros, who is that apothecary I showed you fighting the demons there. He is an apothecary, and so he's just been helping people, you know, doing his medical stuff. And the device is called the reductor. That's what it's called, the little claw that rips out the gene seed and can replace it. And he is also hanging around with a remembrancer. I'm telling you, that word beats me up every time. Named Gerwin. And Gerwin's there just to document the campaign, right? Because that's what they do. And he wants to paint Meros' portrait, right? He's like, you're saving guys' lives. You're doing all this heroic stuff. Let me pay you. And he says, nah, you don't need to. It is what it is. I'm just doing my job. He said, no. Listen to me. This would be so awesome if I painted you. And then at one point, Gerwin shows him a picture that he drew without his permission. And Meros is like, all right, I get it. Like, I guess I look kind of good in that picture, you know. And Gerwin basically says, like, look, I keep my word on the right side of truth. Like, I would never paint you doing something bad or doing anything, whatever, right? Like, it's my job to make you look good. But then Gerwin asked him, he said, you know, were you afraid? And they say the Emperor's angels are never troubled by such things, that there is nowhere you fear to tread. The book title. Meros says, that is true and untrue, the matter of which changes depending on the circumstance. And then Gerwin says, well, I'm afraid sometimes. You know, those orcs are scary. Because come on, that's scary. Meros is like, sorry, I don't know how to feel. Like, I don't feel fear,
Mhm.
you know, except for when they do, of course.
Yeah.
Whenever the writer
Right.
says they do.
He's almost feeling fear. It's like, okay.
If he could feel fear, he would, but he like still doesn't though, because he's epic and awesome and cool. But the whole point of this is basically so like Meros is not a special guy at all, right? He's
Mhm.
just an apothecary that does his medical work. It's like that. I don't know if you ever watched that documentary called Restrepo.
Mhm.
It's came out maybe 10 or so years ago. It was about, I think it was Army or Marines in Afghanistan called the Karangal Valley. And it was this valley that was super dangerous to be in because you get attacked at many angles. The documentary was filming like how dangerous is it, right? Let's show the people. And so these guys get deployed there, and they're of course anxious, but they're talking like spacemen. Like, oh, we're gonna take care, we're gonna do all this, blah blah blah. Right. First day there, there's this guy named Restrepo. He is the medic. First day there, he gets shot in the neck and bleeds out on the helicopter,
Mm.
dies. And everybody's like, oh no, this is not good. Like
Yeah.
we lost the medics. Like and it's the rest of it was basically them just being like, I really don't want to be here anymore. So it's Maris is the Restrepo of this story, right?
Right.
Obviously he's not dead, but like he is kind of everybody likes him because he does his job well, and who doesn't love a medic?
Mhm.
So moving along now to when we're actually in the heresy, and this is about the same time as the Shadow Crusade. There is a place called the Signus Cluster, and Horus tells the Blood Angels that they need to go take care of something there. Now, Blood Angels don't know that Horus is being funny yet. So, and they basically speak through this astropath named Saze, I don't know. And she basically collapses into it like a trance and then projects the psychic projection of Horus in Sanguinius' chamber. It's
Mhm.
like that, but more magical. So he appears there, and because they're light years away, so he can't just like drive up and be like, "Hey, can you guys just take care of this?" Or I see you. Or even sending messages would take so long because it's light years.
Right.
So they have to use magic. So Horus tells Sanguinius that the survivors of Melchior, the orcs, they're in the Cygnus cluster. They, people weren't as thorough as we thought, and that we need to take care of it. Take your full legion, do what you need to do, just clean that up because orcs are, like we talked about before, one little spore stays, the whole planet's gone.
Mhm.
And then he also says to him, basically, kind of really puts a cherry on top. He brings up the whole thing at the Empath Chapel with Alotros. He says, obey my command in this, and I promise you that the Blood Angels will find a new freedom. Basically, I can figure it out for you. Let me, do this and I'll help you.
Mm.
And of course, Sanguinius can't say no. Because, well, of course, like anything for the cure, right? So Sanguinius does it. He goes on this trip and back aboard the Vengeful Spirit. So Vengeful Spirit is Horus's ship. And there's a ritual chamber called this Sisalem. The Sisalem? The walls are covered with profane iconography, and the air is just filled with this warp energy. And there's this person named Tanis Creed, and he opens up a channel to the warp. And he uses this flask, basically a flask of concentrated demonic energy. And he opens it up, and this demon appears, massive demon, huge demon. And he appears because he was told to, right? Because warp magics allow you to summon demons if you know their true name or something like that.
Sure.
And this demon named KaBandha arrives. And summoning a demon isn't just I open my flask. It's not like Baldur's Gate where I open the flask and a spectator comes out and it just fights. It's like a presence that can like cause issues. So when this demon shows up, the servitors in the chamber just die.
Mm.
Like their brains are already kind of mushed from being a servitor and they just can't handle it. Their electronics fry out. The iron walls look like they like change dimensions and the reality distorts. I mean, think back to when Angron became Demon Angron and the ship was like turning into like bones and flesh and meat. It's like that.
Right.
And even if this guy Tennis Creed even tries to look at the demon, he like can't really look at him. And every time he does, it feels like it changes under his vision. Like it keeps getting a different form.
Mhm.
So he kind of just looks away from it because he's like, this is too much for my mind. And it says the voice sounds like stone grinding stone. So a bloodthirster basically is what this guy is, and a bloodthirster is a greater demon of Khorne. All of the gods of the warp have a greater demon. A bloodthirster for Khorne, a great unclean one is for Nurgle, keeper of secrets is Slanesh, and Lord of Change is for Tzeentch.
Mm.
So, and they're very dangerous. Like a bloodthirster is probably on par with like a Primarch in a way.
Mm.
Not a bloodthirster, but like a greater demon. Depends on which greater demon. Some of them are better than others, but they're very, dangerous guys.
Right.
You don't want to mess around with one of these ones. So Horus is not physically in this room either because he's like, I don't want to be around that weird thing. So he also projects into this room and he basically is talking to KaBandha. And he says to him straight up, I will give you a Primarch's blood in an angel's skull. And KaBandha's like, okay, awesome. But Erebus is here too, of course. And Erebus thinks that they can corrupt the Blood Angels into becoming something more. Kind of like what happened with the Emperor's Children, where they kind of become all changed by warp energies and stuff like that. And there is this other demon they have there, a Slaneshi demon, that Erebus like, we can use a Slaneshi demon to kind of do that, to kind of play into their weaknesses, right? And Erebus says it to Horus. He's like, I just don't think it's gonna, like, we don't want to kill him. And Horus says, the angel must fall and never rise. Without him, his sons will embrace your scarlet path, creature. And she's like obviously they kill Sanguinius. If Sanguinius isn't dead, the plan's not gonna work. Like, come on now, guys, think for a second. And so KaBandha actually pushes back a little bit. And he says, if Sanguinius could ever be turned, he would be a rival for you among the traitors. Like, they would probably like Sanguinius more than they would like you. And he says, he will not turn. None of you understand him as well as I do. But mark this, he will die, even if I must do the deed myself. On my soul, I swear it. Like, he's like, you guys aren't listening. He will, like, he needs to die. There is no turning this guy. So they're like, okay, all right, you got it. You're the boss. So back to the Blood Angels, they approach the Signus cluster. And the navigators, who are the ship navigators, right, with the third eye and all that, which I think we talked about a little bit, they report that there's like a black mass, like a veil of total darkness has completely shrouded the entire star system. And it's like literally just like, you watch Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
When they fight things that do like the big orb around wherever they're fighting to like, so nobody can see inside.
Yeah.
It's that, right? It just blocks off, nothing can get in there. No signals, no nothing. It's like a total dead zone. So then Astropath tries to send something through the barrier. And he says all that he heard was screaming and maddening echoes. And then soon after, he kills himself because that's how bad it was. And they tell him, and so he says, how? And he says he broke his own neck. So it's like, whatever he heard or saw in there was so bad, he's like, I'm going to kill myself. So yeah, it's really bad in that, which is weird because the orcs don't do that.
Right.
So that's a little suspicious. So Sanguinius gets all of his guys together. He's like, all right, well, we still got to do our job, right? Because Horus said so. So there's a planet called Horus, which is kind of the outermost planet. And he stops by, and it's already destroyed. It's burning. Like, there's nothing left. And he's like, wait a minute. Like, how is it? Somebody was here before us. And Amit basically says, oh, so there's a shadow over every sun here, you know? Like, there's something's going on here. And he's like, yeah, maybe there's an illusion, or maybe there's something weird going on. But then Ralderon is like, no, this is real. You know, maybe it's alien technology. But he's like, well, this doesn't match any alien technology you've ever seen before. So he's like, we don't know what we're getting into. But he's like, well, we have to proceed anyways. We know no fear, right? So the problem is that they don't really have librarians, right? Because we talked about the Council of Nicaea. So the people that could understand this aren't allowed to use the methods to understand it. So that is a big problem too. Like, if they had the librarians still, they would be able to recognize, oh, this is demonic work. But they don't. So it's kind of, the only tool that can help you defeat the warp is the one you can't even use because of what it can do, you know?
Right.
As they kind of keep approaching, there is one librarian they do have, though, but he doesn't really do that because he's not supposed to. But the problem is he's still a psyker, right? It's just because I can't use my powers doesn't mean I don't have my powers. So he keeps having this dream of he's falling through the warp, and he just sees something coming through the black staring up at him, a screaming like visage of a warrior in heavy armor, slick with like blood, black hair, lightning around him with his giant wings drenched in blood. And eventually when they meet each other, he wakes up. And he's like, what is that? What am I seeing? You know, but he's like, but Psyker, like that type of dreaming for Psyker is just a dream. Is like, that's a prophecy or something, but he doesn't know what it is. And obviously he can't tell people because it's Psyker business. So kind of a catch-22 here.
So even if it's kind of, I don't know, I guess I don't know how the dreams kind of work. I'm assuming it's not like he like tried to dream some sort of prophecy.
No.
So like even then it's still frowned upon, even though it's like can't really.
Because if he said like, oh, I know this is prophecy because of my Psyker abilities, they would be like, what do you mean? Why using your Psyker abilities? You know, but it's like, I can't help it. I'm still a Psyker. But it's like, even if he said that, they would be like, okay, well, it's a weird dream, you know, or like, well, we can't use your abilities to help us here because it's illegal. So it's like, even if he came to them with his dream, They're
They
not
still
allowed to do anything about it.
Yeah, they still kinda have to brush it aside.
They're like,
Okay.
"Well, you're just having weird dreams."
Mm.
He has visions all the time.
Hmm.
So they get inside the system, and every planet they find is just destroyed. Wrecked ships, no life signs, scorched earth. It's all a mess. And they find these structures built from human bone, like towers, cathedrals, just all these different buildings. And the scale of it implies like it's been years of construction. This is like real, built up stuff. Whatever happened here didn't happen just last night.
Yeah.
So eventually they find this enemy, and they're called the Nephilim. And the Nephilim are like aliens, but they have wings. They're humanoid and they have wings. That's what you call them, the Nephilim. And they fought them before, but they think it might be them because it's
Mhm.
like, oh, they're kind of weird like that. But when they they start fighting demons, and they look like in this picture here you see with Meros here fighting some of them. They're just like these red spiked different, demons, right?
Mhm.
So they're fighting them, and there's a lot of them, and they kind of start showing up, and they're very good at killing. It doesn't matter what it is, war, alien, they're good at killing. But the problem is, when we talked about this earlier, that killing is building up towards something, and they can't stop killing because they don't want to die. But then it's kind of keeps that little meter, that little rage meter starts building up.
Right.
And these demons are corn demons, and corn loves fighting. So also the essence of these demons is causing it to raise even faster.
Mm.
Like there is a scene from a book, I can't remember the name of the book, where a bloodthirster appears on a planet, and the essence of him being there is so powerful that people just start killing each other.
Mm.
Like they just also start turning on each other because just the feeling of wanting to kill each other emanates from this thing. So that's what's happening here with
Right.
these guys. This heightened aggression, it's getting sharp.
Mhm. So with the Blood Angels kind of rage meter thing, is it let's put it in like video game terms, like, oh, you need like 20 kills to go into rage order. Does that kind of reset if they go and like not fight for a while? Or is it
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah. So like if they relax for a bit, usually they can kind of do their meditations and get back there.
Okay.
It doesn't it and it also is different for some people too. So some
Mhm.
guy might be like, if I kill 100 demons, I'm there. But another guy might be able to like, keep it tamped down. Like one of the sanguinary guard they might be able to like just be like, no, I'm more locked in than that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's variable, but yes, it can reset. But the problem is that going way up to way too fast.
Yeah.
And the book says it like this bloodthirst was not something created from without and forced upon the blood angels. It was a thread of the poison lying dark and dormant within them all, waiting to be dragged to the surface. Basically, this whole trap is set up specifically for this result to
Mhm.
get them all into that rage.
Right.
And even Meros is starting to feel it because Meros is an apothecary. He's not much of a fighter, so he doesn't really have to worry about that. But he's starting to get a little antsy. He's
Mhm.
starting to get a little, ooh, I kind of want to get in there a little bit.
Yeah.
But he knows he can resist it though because he's just
Mhm.
different like that. He's a main character, right?
Mhm.
So he finds this person named Tillyan Niobe, and she is a regular human. She's like a gardener, basically. I mean, she's been hiding in a wrecked ship with some other survivors for a long time. And when she follows him and joins them, he notices something that basically around her, that pole and that noise of this other stuff, it just drops. Like you turn on the noise canceling on your headphones. Just whoop. And he's like, well, I can like think now. Like I can like hear things. He doesn't know why.
Mhm.
And also she doesn't know it either. Like she doesn't know, she just knows she has this ability, but she doesn't know it. So, and they basically just, and he asked her, like, okay, how are you still alive? Like, there's no way these demons wouldn't find you eventually after weeks and not just eat you up, right? And he says, no, no, the demons just didn't see us. And he says, they did not see you. You know, and basically the rest of the survivors were invisible because the demons can't, because basically she's a blank, right?
Mhm.
And blanks they block warp presence,
Mhm.
like noise canceling, basically. Same thing with Sisters of Silence, right? Sisters of Silence knew she was here. They'd pick her up within like a day because they love having those around. So basically, if you have this around you, it's like think of it like a mosquito coil.
Mhm.
It makes you invisible to the mosquitoes, right? Or bug spray. It's like it repels them.
Mhm.
So it's like that, right?
Yeah.
Being a blank just makes you invisible to how they detect things. Like I can't remember who it is. I think it's in the Battle for Cadia or the Fall of Cadia book. There is a world eater. Can't remember his name, and he gets so like tapped in to like corn that at one point he doesn't see anymore. He just sees blood vessels. Like he sees a living thing, and you see their heart, their blood vessels, and all the different things. That's how he sees things and detects things. So it's kind of like that. Way. Like these demons don't just see like visually; they have a different way of seeing. So they don't see them because they're all protected by this like invisible bubble.
Mhm.
And Meros, and also for Meros, that's great too because it puts down that warp energy that's like juicing up his meter. His poison bar starting to fill up, and then it goes back down again for souls. Most of these demons that are fighting are just kind of mindless demons. I just go in there, just kind of little mobs, and it's not too much of an issue. The issue is more of the energy. Killing these guys isn't a problem. But KaBandha appears, and he is a problem. He is a greater demon, like we said, a bloodthirster, and he has an axe, and he has a whip of coiled brass, and he has giant black wings. Similar to how Angron looks, really. I remember when Angron changed. Angron basically became a bloodthirster, but like a different version of bloodthirster. He usually called it Demon Prince, but yeah, or Demon Primarch, whatever. So KaBandha's here, and kind of this is that picture of him fighting. As you can see, he is very large. He is, I mean, probably like 20 feet tall, give or take. I mean, he's massive, right?
Right.
He wants to meet with Sanguinius because that's what he was sent to take care of. And he basically tells Sanguinius, we both adore the taste of blood, do we not? Like, don't act like you're better than me. We're very similar. And he says, you already walked the scarlet path, little angel. We both know. Why don't you, come on. Like, what's the difference? Why would you just hang out with us? Like, how are you any different than us? What are you doing right now? You're killing. What are you, little red teardrop blood? It's all the same. And Sanguinius says, you speak as if you know me, but I see only a monster to be killed. You ain't tricking me.
So is it normal to have demons that are just able to like talk with?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Certain demons and certain it's think of it like, guys, and again, like some curses are just kind of like little, they kind of float around, they do nothing. But then some curses are like such a level. There's like regular people that can like talk and do stuff. Like Mahito, like the zombie guy. Like he is just like a normal guy. Not normal, obviously, but like he's intelligent, he can make plans, he can do all these things. Whereas like you have your lower demons where they just get cleaned up. Then you have greater demons who can like, talk, make plans. They're not just killing machines. They don't just go around, just do whatever. They like to, I mean, they do like to kill, but like they'll talk with you too. They can do it. It's all dependent on the type of demon they are. So he says, recognize me then, Sanguinius of Baal. I'm KaBandha, bloodthirster and general of Khorne. Blessed is his hate, and we are brothers. He makes his offer again. Like, now that you know me, you can join my side, right? And he's like, you're insane. So they're fighting. And Sanguinius is beating him because he's just fast. Like, he's just too fast for a bloodthirster to keep up. Move around, doing all these jump attacks, left and right, aerial strikes, going underward. The sword work is just too quick. KaBandha's using his giant axe and whip. I mean, he's not built for speed.
Right.
And he basically cuts across the KaBandha, and KaBandha throws his whip and catches him with the whip and just wraps the whip around his hand and like basically pulls it and trips over KaBandha. And he smashes him in the face with the sword, breaks some tusks off. It's a whole thing. And he's just like smashing his face in, and this black blood is coming out. And he says, you would be so exalted, a champion. Because he's basically like, look, you're doing exactly what you need to do. And eventually, Sanguinius, he gets up, and KaBandha throws a rhino at him. Not the animal, but one of these things. So a rhino is a troop transport. It is big. I mean, Space Marine itself is 7 feet tall. So that thing is probably, I mean, they're massive. Pixar just launches it at us. He's like, how about that? So he throws his rhino at him. And he misses him because he moved out of the way, but it crushes one of the Sanguinary Guard and kills some other Blood Angels. And Sanguinius is getting mad now because he just feels this like he can feel all the pain of his guys if it's around him. And especially with this warp energy, it's really amplified. And it says he felt the death as though it were a piece of his soul cut away and burned like paper. He felt every death, the shock of it, distant or close, weak or strong, but always there. Each time a son of Sanguinius fell, it was like a cut upon his flesh, a feather torn from his wings. He thinks to himself, did the others feel the losses of their son so keenly? Did Dorn or Vulcan, Magnus or Perturabo? Horus? So he kind of shakes free of the thought, right, for a moment, because he's like, I don't want to die. But it's getting hard because his guys are starting to die a little bit here. So he starts fighting KaBandha some more. And they're fighting in the air now. Brass and bronze, gold and ceramite. It's this Dragon Ball Z type fight. And it's like these thunder cracks of air. The real anime style fight. So he's still winning. He's cutting him across the chest. He's cutting his hands. Like KaBandha is not built for a guy like this. Eventually, KaBandha falls down to the ground, and he pulls down the angel with him, and they start falling toward. And he grabs. So you can see this picture here. Maybe there are chains around, like this chain dog collar type thing he's wearing. So Sanguinius is grabbing it, and he's trying to like basically choke him out with it, And instead, he lands on him, and he stabs him through the chest with his sword. And it's like all the way down to the handle in his chest. And KaBandha is sitting on the ground. He's like, oh, that one, you got me. All right, I think you got me. When he stands up, all beaten up, and he takes his sword out, raises it to go cut off KaBandha's head. And KaBandha says, before you strike, know this. We will never lie to you, little angel. It is not the way of corn. We are the truth of blood, and the truth is Horus has betrayed you. And now, Sanguinius doesn't know this. So it kind of gives him a little, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Hold on, wait, what do you mean? So as he's thinking about that small hesitation, a little half a second, is when KaBandha's like, I got you, and whips his legs and breaks both of them. So Sanguinius goes down, and KaBandha gets up and says, you defied me, and now I will give you a wound that will forever fester. So instead of killing Sanguinius, KaBandha goes around the battlefield and starts killing hundreds of blood angels. There's like a storm of red, and he's just cutting them all up in just this tornado of gore. Mm-hmm. And Sanguinius is feeling all of it, right? Because that's what he has. The names are going into his head as he feels them all die, right? And it says, a rage fire broke, and in the halls of his mind, a father heard 500 names of his sons perish at once. The darkness claimed the angel, the backlash of psychic shock spiraling after him into the abyss of his soul. So now that red thirst started to peak up now in Sanguinius. And obviously he's the best controller, but even he has a limit.
Right.
So at that point, that's it, right? An hour past the meter, the red thirst is kicking in, and they can't help it anymore. So now all these blood angels are going nuts. And it's moving through them like a big wave. Sanguinius sees this, and he's also getting like, oh, like, I don't know if I can kill all my guys. Like, we're going on with this. And Ralderon, who we talked about before, this guy here, he is watching above in a Stormbird. A Stormbird is like a transport helicopter thing. Not really helicopter, it's like a big jet container thing.
Right.
The Blood Angels, once proud and vigilant, now remade, as undisciplined as wildfire. The best and brightest of the Legion Astartes had become less an army and more of a mob baying for the blood of those who had wounded their father. And he says, this has always been part of us. The angel knew it, now it is unmasked and threatens to engulf every one of his sons. So they're up here watching this. Him and Meros are watching this. And eventually they find that slashy demon named Kiris, who's kind of doing a little slashy magics off somewhere else. They are like, we need to go kill that demon because that's the one that's making it worse. So Meros and these people on this transport are actually good because Niobe's up there and her pariah thing is keeping them, that meter isn't going up. She put a little stoppage on it.
Right.
Just enough to kind of hold on. And they go to the cathedral and they're like, we need to kill this demon in here because this is making it worse. So when they find this demon who basically from the beginning built this whole trap up. Started years ago with the cults and the different statues. Basically, what they found out when they went to these planets were like these statues and buildings made of like bones and stuff took years. This is the person that was leading that. Mm-hmm. So eventually they find it. And above the cathedral floor on cables and pulleys is like a crystal capsule. Inside is something called Ragefire. And Kiris has spent years distilling it, the blood rage of blood angels, into a concentrated form. This is pure bane venom right here.
Okay.
And there is a blood angel that his soul is being used as the vessel. He basically was held at the edge of this bloodthirst continuously until he was consumed, and then they bottled up that essence of his fury. That's Ragefire. And Kiris says, take the Ragefire into yourself. Accept it. Come with me. Walk with your beloved brother Horus. So she's talking to Sanguinius. Do this and your sons will be released. I make this promise. Your legion will be spared, angel. They will never know the flaw again. It will be your life for theirs. So she opens up the capsule and the red smoke billows into the air. And Ralderon is like, it tastes like wet iron and bitter hate. It's like, yeah. And so to go back a little bit, they pick up Sanguinius after KaBandha's doing all this thing. He's going through and killing all the guys. They pick him up and put him in the thing because his legs are broken, right? Mm-hmm. And Sanguinius is actually starting to consider it. He's in a lot of pain right now. He's also very angry right now. And Ralderon basically says, no, this is what the traitors want. This is why they brought us here. And Sanguinius says, you're right. You're smart. And Kira says, a father giving everything for his children? Is that what you intended all along, isn't it, Sanguinius, to die for them? And Sanguinius says, if there must be a sacrifice, says Sanguinius, his wings slowly unfurling, then it will be made. And then Meros says, it will be made, but not by you. And then Meros is at the edge of the room the whole time. And he runs in there. And as Sanguinius is reaching toward this capsule, he grabs one of the cables and drops it down and cuts through it. Cuts through the capsule, the open capsule thing that's like seeping out this air.
Right.
And he tries to go get him, but he's too late. It says, this guy named Kano, not from Mortal Kombat, but a different Kano, says, Meros was a warrior of good character, but he had never had been what others would have called a champion, a hero of the Legion. He was simply what the rank and file of the Blood Angels had always been. Loyal, noble sons of Terra and Baal, selfless and ready to fight, and ready to die. So this Ragefire, this collective fury of over 100,000 blood angels, basically right into Meros. And it says the Ragefire over 100,000 warriors collapsed in on itself, growing heavier, becoming solid and distinct, like an unborn star condensing from stellar gas and dust. The fury accreted within the soul of Kano's Rattle Brother. And it says, Brother Meros ended, and the Red Angel began. I don't know if I have a picture of the Red Angel here. I guess I don't. He becomes this thing called the Red Angel. And the Red Angel is kind of confusing because Angron's also called the Red Angel. So it's weird. But this thing that basically appears is this being wrapped in warp fire, a halo of crimson light where the man used to be, blood red wings, basically the opposite of Sanguinius. And he's covered in these chains that are basically holding him down in a way. Let me see if I can get a picture of it, actually give kind of a better idea of what we're dealing with here. I might have it in one of these other ones.
So while you're pulling that up, I'm assuming that this is what the Psyker saw in his vision, right?
What was that? And also here's a picture of the Red Angel. It was that, and it was also a KaBandha as well, right? There's like giant winged demon coming up. So it was either the Red Angel or it was KaBandha, right? Either went really bad.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, that's a picture of the Red Angel, the chains and the black armor, and doesn't really have the wings in this one, but yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So Sanguinius says that is not life, Sergeant. He gave that up for us. Meros tries to speak through this form that he now has, and he can't really, there's no real words that come out. Sanguinius says, if you hear this, know my oath. I swear upon the Legion, whose honor you have upheld, that your noble sacrifice will be repaid. You will not end in silence. And the Red Angel kind of disappears. He gets back into the war. And Warfire goes with it, and everything that was poured into him is discharged in a violent blast. And Sanguinius turns away his wings aside, like protect his guys that are there. And the veil over the Signus cluster dissipates. All this energy that was stored up is now basically gone. And this guy asks, is it over now? And Sanguinius says, no, it's never over. Sanguinius ends up killing the demon there as well. He ends up basically stabbing it through the chest or cutting off its head. I can't remember what he does. So he definitely kills it pretty easily, obviously. It's just a Soneshi demon, like a sorcerer type thing. Here's that picture of that, basically. It just stabs him. So this happens, and then they leave because KaBandha's gone. He gets banished. Kyrus is dead. He gets banished. But Meros is now this new form, and a lot of these blood angels who that wave of red thirst went through them, like they're kind of dying and also not dying, and some of them are good, some of them are not. So it didn't really help at all. Things are real bad now in the blood angels. So if you have any questions.
Yeah, so I think early on when we were talking about Horus and Sanguinius talking about, like, I guess they were talking about kind of keeping the bloodthirst a secret. I'm assuming they're keeping it a secret from the other legions.
Yeah.
All the blood angels kind of know that this is okay.
They all know it's something they got to deal with. But yeah, no, he wants to keep it a secret from everybody else because his fear is they're going to get destroyed, like the other two primarchs. The only person who knows is Horus, and that's why he set up this trap to begin with.
Right.
But yeah.
How do the blood angels kind of have a way of managing that bloodthirst throughout combat, or are they just kind of like, if it happens, it happens?
And if it happens, it happens. Like I mean, they can feel it when it's getting there. Like they said when they first arrive in front of the demons, they can kind of feel this edge, and they can feel it coming. So some of them can kind of, but obviously with that situation, they can't leave. There's nowhere to go. Whereas usually, okay, hey brother, whatever, he's in that look in his eyes. Maybe he shouldn't come down here for this operation. Maybe leave him up on the ship, and he just has to like relax, cool off, and then come back in. So basically like that.
Okay, and then I think with KaBandha and the other demon, they talk about like making these deals with like Sanguinius. Are those deals like real, or you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I mean it's as real as Angron's was.
Yeah.
Like there will be a change, but it's not going to be beneficial for you. Like you probably return Sanguinius into some type of demon. You know what I mean? Like Angron or like Fulgrim.
But then they're like, oh well, we can save your legion from the bloodthirst. Like, is that just meaning like, it can all be demons or whatever?
Same thing with Angron. It's like, I can save him, and he does. So now Angron technically will never die of the butcher's nails, but also now he's a demon.
It's like, well, yeah, okay.
So it's definitely a Faustian deal where it's just like, or a genie, right? I wish to never have this problem. Okay, well now you're a demon. You know what I mean? Sanguinius knows that he's not an idiot, but at the same time, he's in a situation where it's like so bad. I mean, they shattered his legs, like he was crawling away, and KaBandha's out there killing all of his guys. And then what? At this point, maybe I need to do it. And Meros is like, not if I do it first. So yeah, the Meros gets turned into the Red Angel.
And maybe this is spoilers for kind of what's to come. Does Meros come back?
He is, since he went to the warp, kind of, same thing with even KaBandha. KaBandha isn't dead. He's got, when the kind of warp energies collapsed from the explosion, when the Red Angel kind of, he basically falls off a cliff or something like that and just kind of dies.
Yeah.
But demons don't die. When all that collapsed, and even Cyrus, even though it was killed by Sanguinius, is basically sent back to the warp to respawn. Same thing with KaBandha. He's back in the warp. He's going to respawn later. So the Red Angel is now a demon who now has that warp ability. Can come back and get respawned. It usually is depending on the demon. Actually, I think it's all demons really. Yeah, they just go back to the warp and they will respawn at a certain point. Now, if you kill Angron, he will come back eventually. And that's kind of the deal, is that Lorgar was like, you'll never die. Literally, you can't die. Like, if you die, you'll just come back. Infinite respawns. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not, but it sucks. The deal sucks, you know?
Right. And then, it's the last thing I'm curious about, like, do we know how many Blood Angels are left?
Let me look here.
Because it sounds like not many.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Let's look at my notes. I don't know. It might be purposely
vague.
Yeah, because they're like, they don't want to give you real numbers, and then all of a sudden they say like 50,000 died later. Like, didn't you say there's only 25,000? So it's definitely less, a lot less than there was. So the trap semi-worked, but it didn't work the way Horus wanted it to. Because Sanguinius isn't dead, and he's not the Red Angel, except for Meros. But obviously, hey, one guy out of hundreds of thousands and the Primarch, it's a Pyrrhic victory. So yeah, there's still enough left for what they need to do in the story.
Yeah, enough to be relevant.
Yes. No, they're not. It's not like, I'm trying to think of a different. It's not like Ravengard, which we'll cover them in a sec, but a little later, where they were basically down to, I think, 1,000 after Isstvan 5. And so you really can't operate with that. So, and we'll cover what happens with that. Corax goes back to Terra. The Emperor basically says, Emperor, I need more children. Quickly, need more guys. And he's like, okay. And so it's a whole thing. There's a whole book. And so we'll cover that. It's actually a pretty interesting book because not a lot happens in like fighting wise, but you're seeing more into the kind of relationship that the Emperor was setting up for the Primarchs. Like, there's a part in the book where he goes back to Terra, he goes to the Golden Throne, or not the Golden Throne, but like the palace. And he's like walking through these rooms, and he finds, like, there's a room specifically made for him, and the door is the right height, the furniture is all the right size for a Primarch. And he's like, wow, this is awesome. Like, I don't have to like crouch under door, like, because I mean, these Primarchs are huge, right? Like, think about how annoying it is for Sanguinius to go anywhere with his giant wings,
Right.
Or even Magnus being like 10 feet tall. Like, nothing is ever built for them. So for this Primarch to go to Terra and have his own room with his own furniture, stuff, like the servants go to like help him like bathe and stuff and all that stuff. And they walk into the room, they look like tiny little kids because the doorway is so massive compared to this little human. And he's like, yeah, how's it feel? And like, so it's like you get this little of that. This is what the Emperor is setting up for the Primarchs after the Great Crusade. Obviously, it never came to fruition, but they were supposed to settle on Earth. And you're supposed to be this whole great plan. Maybe one day after we're done with all this, we'll do like a whole long video on like what was the Emperor's plan. Because I think there's enough stuff in the books and in lore and stuff that you can actually say, this is what he intended. And obviously the Horus heresies were, a lot of it went wrong. Really all of it, really. But yes, so.
Yeah. I guess I'm also curious. I don't know if you have an answer, but I'm curious. I don't know if it's explained, but do you think that the kind of bloodthirst would be a valid reason to kind of get rid of them as a leader?
I don't know. Like, maybe, because you don't know why the other two are gone.
Right.
So was it something like that? Or was it just something like maybe they were fraternizing with Xenos too much? Were they making space marines out of like aliens? You know what I mean? So it's like, is it something crazy like that?
Right.
I think in Sanguinius' case, since he was one of the more favorable sons, I think he would generally try to perform some type of biomancy to fix it. If he had the time. Because during this time, the Emperor is still dealing with the war in the Webway and like Magnus teleporting and destroying the Webway project. Emperor can't do anything but take care of that right now. So let's say Magnus doesn't do that. Let's say Magnus does the teleportation normally, gets in there, says the message. Of course, the Emperor's mad because he broke the Council of Nicaea, but he didn't break anything. He just did that, right? He can get, Demon Rust does this whole thing, Magnus just whatever. But then Emperor can be like, all right, I'm going to go take care of Horus. I can leave Terra to go do that. But the problem is he can't do that because if he leaves while trying to fix the Webway, these demons are going to seep into the Golden Throne and kill everything. Like, it is a giant cut in the wall. Like in Stranger Things, when she has it like in the Demogorgon like peels through it. Right. I imagine like a million Demogorgons are waiting to get into because they call the Emperor Anathame, which I know we have the sword Anathame.
Yeah.
Because the word just means like opposite in a way, like evil opposite. Not literally, but it's like something like that. So the Emperor is anathema to demons because he can kill them truly. He has his weapon called the Sword of the Emperor. It's basically a sword that's on fire, but it has the power to, if he kills a demon with it, they're dead totally. They're not coming back.
Okay.
So that scares them completely.
Right.
Because it's kind of like the Eldar, which we talked about a while ago. If they die, they just put themselves in the soul stones. Oh, then I get reborn. And that's where all that weird stuff is born, right? And yeah, so that the Emperor is anathema. Like he is the opposite of what demons are. And they really want him dead. But they know it's very hard to kill the Emperor. I mean, you really can't. So basically, if he didn't have to deal with all that, then he would be able to take care of Horus. And it probably wouldn't be hard, honestly, for him to take care of Horus.
Right.
But unfortunately, he can't because Magnus messed the whole thing up. So, yeah. Yeah. Does that answer your question? That was the whole tangent.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about what I expected. Like, who knows, right?
Yeah. Like, if Horus is heresy and he was killed by the Emperor, would he have been stricken from the record? Maybe. We don't know, right? Like, it's one of those things because, like, no spoilers, but we know about the Horus heresy in the modern lore because I guess he was never stricken from the record, you know. Now, in the modern setting of 40K, because this is 30K, the modern setting of 40K, how much do humans know about the Horus heresy? Really nothing at all. It's like a fairy tale.
Okay.
The Primarchs all seem like mythical creatures and legends and myth. It's like when you hear stories about Thor and Odin, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, these guys never existed. It's just fun fairy tales. So, yeah, the modern lore, it's not really a thing.
Is that just because it was so long ago?
Just so long ago. And as things get muddy, you know, especially in the future too, where certain things start to happen and there's different, like, the Imperial truth changes, you know, obviously the worshipping of the Emperor, which happens in the future, which the whole thing of Horus heresy was that he doesn't want the Emperor to be worshipped. Well, hey, didn't really work out. So it's a lot of that too, where, you know, then you also have the Inquisition, which they don't exist yet, but we'll get into that. It gets very, I mean, think about 10,000 years. Humanity hasn't been a civilization for 10,000 years.
Right.
So you're talking about, you know, a civilization that went through 10,000 years ago, all that destruction, you know, so
yeah,
it's hard to know what would happen. My opinion, probably not. He'd probably figure out, I mean, obviously it's up to the writers, but I would imagine he would do some type of like Angron has Butcher's Nails. We could probably figure it out eventually if he had enough time, but he didn't have any time. Could he regenerate Angron's brain from a sample of it and then clone him in a way? Probably. But he didn't, there's no time. I got to do Great Crusade stuff. So, yes.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do the episode then. If you got this far, thanks for watching. The thing, the liking and the watching and the subscribing. We're getting some good views on the last videos. The Angron one might be at 100 views soon, which is cool. And the Mechanicus one got to 100 views. I guess people want to hear about the Mechanicus. The Caliph one was doing okay numbers. I guess people don't really care about old breweries. That's okay. I get it. People are tired of them. It's good. It's people watching the channel. It's good to see. So, yes. Until the next one. And also a kind of retcon thing. I was say, oh, I'm going to talk about Gilliman more in this episode. Sorry I didn't talk about him because we haven't got to him yet. But anyways, yes, we'll get to him eventually. Bye.